In our life, all of us want to live with clarity. All of us want to have a purpose in our life. Clarity, purpose, and a sense what we do actually matters, right? Everybody wants to be very clear in life. Everyone wants to have a purpose driven life. Also a sense in whatever we do. But the harsh reality is that most of the time we all feel drained. Drained in the sense losing our energy in different affairs. And our energy draining is not happening just like, we are doing too much of work. It is not that really we are working too hard. It is not about the amount of work that we do. In fact, in the modern world, nobody does that sort of a physical work. When I say nobody, the majority of us, the people who are listening, right? We don't do that sort of a physical work compared to our older generations. And we cannot substantiate by saying that I am doing a lot amount of work. The quantum of work is also not that much. Even when I say quantum of work, the physical exercises, physical work. So when I say we are getting drained, we feel drained. This energy draining is mainly happening at our mental level. It is happening due to our mind. And that mind is doing what? That mind is always trying to chase things in life. The mind is trying to run ahead of time, running ahead of what we are doing, running ahead of acting. For example, worrying about what will happen in future, worrying about the results, worrying about what will I get, what would be the kind of recognitions I am going to get, or what would be the kind of recognitions I might miss, or thinking about the numbers, what will I get, what would be the profit that I get, right? These kind of comparisons are happening. The mind is always going ahead. Mind is always trying to do a fast forward when we are living in the present and thinking about or worrying about what would be the results, what would be the kind of repercussions or the consequences, or what would be the kind of problems that I may anticipate, or these are the kind of worries that mind will always carry. And we need to admit that work is not the real problem. Work itself is not breaking us. Work itself is not giving these mental problems. What is the real problem? The real problem is attachment. The real problem is attachment that we carry into the work. So that is where Bhagavan Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Arjuna, here the actions are not binding you. What binds you is the attachment. What binds you is the attachment to the actions, not the action is binding. The attachment to the action is binding you here, Arjuna. So what you should do, you need to work with the inner composure. And when we are working with the pressure, what happens? The mind will get fragmented. Correct. And when we are doing the actions with an inner calmness, such a scenario will bring the clarity in us. Such a scenario will bring freedom in us. That's what Bhagavan Krishna says. Karma Yogam is all about using the day-to-day activities or actions as a source for growth. But what is happening is basically these actions are becoming day by day stressful for all of us. So what has to be changed? Not the actions. One has to change the way we relate to what we do. It is not to change the action. It is all about the attitude behind the action that we have to change. So when I say attitude behind the action, you do the right action, done in the right attitude. So when you do the right action and with the right attitude, that itself will enable a right balance in you and will bring focus and inner joy. So this is the way that you can strengthen the mind. Right now the mind is scattered. The mind is going behind things. Mind is always in the state of worries. So this only will strengthen the mind instead of the scattering of mind. Why I'm saying this? Recently I visited one of my relatives' place, and in that home, it's a very huge place, very huge home, where 3 generations are living together. 3 generations meaning grandparents are there, parents are there, and children, and grown-up children also. And I visited recently to this relative's place, and surprisingly everybody was there at home, and I went around 8:30 p.m. So there is nothing to be surprised. It's not during the daytime. Around 8:30 p.m. only I went, and everybody was busy. Everybody was busy in their own world. As I mentioned, it's a very big place. Everybody was busy, and people, everybody is having individual rooms, and they all are in their own world. When I say own world, individually in their rooms with smartphones, computers, smartphones in the hand, and dealing with social media feeds, scrolling, trolling, and also phone calls. In between phone calls, and one was saying that I have to attend a call, and this is not an official call, a call with my friends around 9:15. A lot of activities are going in that home. I'm not saying that everybody is sitting inside room and silent or doing some meditation or dhyana. No, everybody is actively involved in their own world. Nobody was disconnected. Can we say anybody is disconnected from the world? Because everybody is connected to the internet world. Everybody is talking, everybody is chatting, everybody is involved fully. But the issue is basically, in that home nobody is fully connected. When I say not fully connected, either not with me or even with one another there. That's what I observed. I'm not saying that it is right or wrong, or during the time that I spent, I found that everybody is connected in their own world with the gadgets and stuff like that, but there is no kind of an inner connect happening there. And for the sake of conversation, coming, saying hi, long time, what's happening, but all the conversations were very short, very much interrupted also. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting a call, or I have to go and do something. So the conversations were very short, very much interrupted also. And another aspect is basically the conversations are very, very shallow, I would say. And I cannot say that there is no communication happening. Communication is there, but communication is very little. And that communication is not really happening from the heart. Heart to heart, the communication is missing. And I also felt that the span of attention has become very much fragmented, even if all are together, but not fully connected with one another. I think in most of our homes it's like that. I mean, I'm not trying to say my relative's place it's like this. We all are undergoing this. And one side, we have to appreciate the technology. Technology is bringing a lot of advantages. With a simple click, you can book taxi, you can do whatever you want. And at the other side, the span of attention is getting reduced. The mind is getting, quietly trained, I can say, due to the disturbances or distractions or these technology pieces. What happens is mind is also quickly or quietly getting trained to keep moving from one thing to another thing, continuously going from one stimulus to another stimulus. This is what is happening, or one result to another result. Because if you see the way these reels, if you see, right, one by one, and it's hardly 1 minute, after that next one. So that is where we also expect the mind is also running after, from one stimulus to another stimulus, from one focus to another focus, where the mind is always trying to keep a residue of the previous focus also. That is where this distraction and energy draining happening. From one result to another result, everybody wants quick result with very less patience. And when we reclaim our attention, what happens? Our actions will be done in the present. The problem is basically partial attention is there in whatever we do. That is where the connection is not happening. In that home also, I felt that the seriousness is not there. Nobody is living in the present. So even the connection that one has to keep within also is missing. Forget about others. That within, the connection itself is missing. And then how one can have a perfect job of connecting with others with more deeper and better relation. Surprisingly, I read a news in Times of India 2 days back. In fact, this newspaper is here. The news is basically a village near Belagavi in Karnataka. Halaga village, where the local villagers, they started a unique thing. What is this unique thing? To reduce the digital distraction every evening from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. You all should do a search in Google, in the internet, and see this. So the local villagers started a unique thing. For what? To reduce the digital distraction. Every day evening 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. There will be a siren, and the TV sets will be off, mobile phones will be off, other digital services will be switched off across the village. Maybe from the Gram Panchayat, the siren will start blowing at 7, and at 9 also it will come back. So what happens? This is a gadget free period. So where children will focus on study, family members will do the meaningful conversation, or even the community interaction, instead of any sort of screens. And the children, in fact, I have seen a video also. They sit, concentrate, read the books, and families spending time in creating bonds. The real life heart to heart communication is also happening rather than passive screen time. And one thing we need to understand is this is not just an experimentation that is happening with this village, Halaga village in Karnataka. And it is beyond, a gadget rule. I think it has to be practically happening in our day-to-day lives. Every day, we should reflect, we should have a reset. And this is also a good avenue to bring our attention to the present. So that is how we establish meaningful connections in life, because we need to grow without distractions and keeping those distractions consciously aside. This is very much needed. And this kind of avenues will strengthen the mind, because this needs a lot of willpower. Not looking at the phone or computer, not taking any calls. This needs a lot of willpower. So that itself is a strength in the mind. And the strength comes from not the distractions. Strength comes from the lack of distraction. So that's where Bhagavad Gita says this term as sangam. Sangam meaning attachment. When the mind is obsessed with a lot of distractions and thinking about the outcomes, what happens? That will split the capability of mind. When I say split the capability of the mind, partial attention to the present, while a large part of the mind will be, in the future, anxiously looking at the results, anxiously negotiating the future, where the future is yet to happen. This is the real issue, because a part of the mind is involved in the present and the major part is negotiating the future, where the future is yet to come. This is the real reason for the distraction. This split is happening. This split is the real cause for the exhaustion in life, tiringness in life. This split is the reason for distraction. This split is the reason for inner noise. So that's where Bhagavan Krishna says, you do karma as a karma yoga. Karma yoga is a very big avenue to reunify the mind, re-vector the mind, by consciously offering the result of your actions to a higher order, so called as the Ishwaran or the Brahman or the nature. You dedicate the outcomes to me. You have control on the actions. You just focus on the action. It doesn't mean that this is a punishment. You have control on focusing on the actions. You don't have the control on the end results. You just dedicate that. You just surrender that result to a higher order, to me. Bhagavan says that. And also, the cosmic intelligence is the important thing here, right? You dedicate to that cosmic intelligence, to that larger whole, so that the doer, your mind, your ego, will get freed from the psychological burden of the ownership. You just allow, or you just preempt the mind to focus on the present by putting the right efforts to the action. You dedicate the results to that higher cosmic intelligence, and during this process you are freeing your mind or ego from the psychological burden of ownership, so called as the kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam. All those things will vanish from the mind. So in this scenario, the mind will be more disciplined. The actions remain very, very precise. The actions remain very disciplined. There is no exhaustion. There will be sincere way of doing things when you are having this focus. And your inner composure is also very cool. There is no compulsion to do things by anticipating the outcomes, because the outcome orientation is not there in your ego. So you just release that. And this inner release of stress, that is what Bhagavan says in the second chapter, Buddhi yukto jahadiha ubhe sukrita dushkride tasmat yogaya ujjasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. So you just explore this excellence. Explore this excellence in action, which is born of inner peace, inner balance. And this is a very grand vision, because when we execute with this grand vision, our work will become a mechanism or a method for the inner purification rather than the self-validation. Here, success and failure will lose the power to define one's worth. Praise and blames, you will work beyond the praising and blaming. Praising and blaming cannot hijack. Here what is happening is praising and blaming is really hijacking our attention. Otherwise also I am cool, I am working for a reason. I am working for what? I am working for a higher reason called as my own dharma. And not because, due to the insecurity feeling or the desire to become selfish. No. It is out of my own dharma, and not due to the insecurity feeling or desire to be successful. So that's what Bhagavan says. Krishna says that karma yoga, you use that as a path to freedom in action. Not freedom from action. Freedom in action, not freedom from not doing action or becoming an akarmi. No. You convert karma as karma yoga. And in modern world, most of us do things as a compulsion, right? Compulsive action. So here Bhagavan says, rather than doing as a compulsive action, you enable conscious action in you. When your mind is whole, when your mind is under control, when the mind is not distracted, when the mind is not bothering about the results, when the mind's attention is not fragmented, the action will become worship, because you are dedicating that action to me. So your action will become more purer. It becomes a worship. And when the action becomes worship, life itself will turn into a yoga. That's what Bhagavan says. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. And again in second chapter you can see samatvam yoga uchyate. What is yoga? Yoga means samatvam. Samatvam of your mind. The balance of your mind. And in the sixth chapter you can see tam vidyad dukkha samyogam, dukkha samyoga viyogam, yoga sapnidam. Tam vidyad dukkha samyoga viyogam, yoga sapnidam. What is that yogam? Yogam is basically the state which is free from the associations of sorrow or association with sorrow. Know that the state which is the freedom, or which is getting freedom from the association with sorrow, is called as yoga. Tam vidyad Dukkha Samyoga Viyogam Yoga Satnidam. Yoga is not just the yogasana, not the physical exercise. That is the state which is freedom from association with sorrow. For that, one should know who truly am I. And not only that, in the 6th chapter, 46th verse, Tapasibhye adhigyo yogi jnanibhyo madodiga karmibhyaschadigo yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. You become a yogi, Arjuna. Where Bhagavan says, Tapasibhye adhigo yogi jnanibhyo madodiga karmibhyaschadigo yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. The yogi is superior. Because according to your build, you are a warrior, you are a yodha. You become a yogi that is superior to the ascetic, tapasi, or a jnani, the learned, and the from the karmi meaning the one who is doing the rituals. A real yogi is superior to the ascetic, to the learned, to the ritualist. So, you can become a yogi. You can become a yogi when compared to these three. And it doesn't mean that Bhagavan is not dismissing any of these paths. Is not dismissing the path of a tapasvi or a jnani or a karmi. No. Here Bhagavan says, basically the one point that all these paths, the people who are undertaking these paths should practice the inner integration. If you practice without the inner integration, it doesn't make sense. So your focus should be whether you are a tapasvi or a jnani or a karmi, or as per Bhagavan Krishna, Arjuna, you become a tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. When Bhagavan says that all paths are, there is no dismissing on any of the paths. Here the point that Bhagavan Krishna is bringing is all paths are good, but provided it should be practiced with the inner integration. That is the whole point. So what is yoga? Yoga is the mechanism that integrates body, mind, intellect, attention. Attention into a single aligned movement. And here, the quality of a yogi is yogi lives in attention. And by doing the var, Arjuna, you can still lie in that attention, and therefore you become a yogi. And I am sure that we are not really fighting a war like Arjuna. None of us. So now this is a call to all of us. This is a call to all of us for what? To live undistracted, to live inwardly anchored, to live fully engaged. And you become a karma yogi. You act without being pulled apart by the outcomes. You know yourself, your true self, without being inflated by different information. When I say different information, there are two problems for all of us. Agrahanam and anyadagrahanam. Agrahanam meaning not knowing what is really needed. When I say not knowing what is really needed, not knowing our true self, this is agrahanam. And anyadagrahanam is basically what? Identifying yourself with something which is not right. These are the two problems that we have. Agrahanam and anyadagrahanam. So now with the information, we all are lost. So even if whatever is there, information is there in this world, From the physical world, lot of distractions, information, lot of things are there. So what you need is basically, you should know yourself. You know yourself without being inflated by information. You be clear. And you can use technology, etc. I'm not saying run away from all those things. But don't surrender to the technology. Surrender to whom? Surrender to that Lord. And that Lord is residing in all of us as the self. As per Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavan Sarvabhudanam Adhyaksho Avastido Guham. So don't get lost. You act without being pulled apart by the outcomes. You know your true self, and don't get confused in this world. Don't identify yourself with something which is not right, agrahanam and anyada grahanam, and use technology, and don't surrender to the technologies. You surrender the attention to that Lord. You surrender to the attention within and derive the energy from within. And that is what Bhagavan says in these verses. In fact, in the last session we have seen this. The verse number 20 of the 3rd chapter. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhi astida janagadaya loga sangraham evabi sampashyan kartumarhasi. So here Bhagavan Krishna says, there are wise people who demonstrated the karma yoga. They mastered it. And the level of people are like the Janaka Maharaja, a great Maharaja, a great emperor. And how they attain this yoga? Through action. Mastery without withdrawal from the world. A king cannot withdraw from the world as a Raja. But what Janaka Maharaja did, how the Janaka Maharaja transformed himself from a Raja to a Rajarshi, where the clear balance in mind happened through the orientation of attention, and the balance of action happened through the orientation of life, and the prayer, the orientation of attention, balance in everything, balance in action, balance in life. And you need to understand that our tradition, the Hindu Dharma or Sanatana Dharma, always glorified stability, not running away from anything. Have a stable life, understand. The Gita Upadesham starts in the 2nd chapter by saying that, hey Arjuna, please understand that matras sparshastu kaunteya shidoshna sukha dukkada agama payino anitya tam tidikshusva bharata. Please understand that these things are coming and going in life. You cannot attach yourself with those things which are changing in life. These all will come and go, but you are not those things which are coming and going. Don't associate yourself with those things. You are beyond that. When I say a glorified stability, let me also bring the story of Kunti Mada here. The Kunti Stuti, the prayer of Kunti in Srimad Bhagavat. And this prayer is basically wishing for an inner alignment. It is not like comfort seeking. Most of us pray to God that, yeah, please help me in getting 25% hike. Please help me in becoming the CEO of a company. Or he will say that, yeah, by next year I should become a crorepati. No. Or in the worst scenario, you may say, no, I need a life without any problems, always happiness. Where Kunti is not at all asking any comfort. And the The situation is like, in this Srimad Bhagavata, when Bhagavan Krishna was leaving for Dwaraka after the Mahabharata Yuddha. Here Bhagavan asked our beloved Kunti to ask for a varam or a boon. This is in the 8th chapter of the Prathama Skandam, the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is very popular. Kunti Stuti is very, very popular. It's a hymn by Kunti, who is the maternal aunt of Bhagavan Krishna. And Kunti, with her wisdom, with her knowledge, recognizes the divinity of Krishna. When I say recognizes the divinity of Krishna, the stuti starts like this: Namasye Purisham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param Alakshyam Sarvabhutana Andarbhahiravastidam Maya Javinigachannam Ajnadokshajamavyayam Nalakshyase Mudadrisha Nado Natyadaro Yada Tada Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartham Kadam Pasye Mahistriya Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devagi Nandanaya Ja Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Nama. So the first Namasye Purisham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param Alakshyam Sarvabhudanam Andarbhahiravastidam. And in between, Kunti Stuti says Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo. Krishna is defined in two ways. First, she starts with Namasye Purisham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param Alakshyam Sarvabhudanam Andarbhahiravastidam. I salute you as the universal consciousness. I also salute you as the son of Devaki Vasudeva. But before that, I salute you as the universal consciousness. Namasye Purisham tu Adyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param. You as the Purishan, you as the universal consciousness, you as the Kshetrajnan, you as the Andaryami, you as the Ishwaran. Purisham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param Alakshyam Sarvabhudanam Andarbhahiravastidam. Who is unaffected by the qualities of the Prakriti, who is unaffected by the qualities of the material world, who is not affected by the influence of the gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Ishwaram Prakritevaram Alakshyam Sarvabhudanam Andarbhahiravastidam. In every bhudam, in every beings, you reside, you exist, both within and without everything. Meaning what? You are everything, and in you everything is existing. You exist both within and without everything. Alakshyam Sarvabhudanam Andarbhahiravastidam Maya Javinigachannam Ajnadokshajam Avyayam. And you are also invisible to all, because this is the consciousness. You cannot touch, you cannot perceive this consciousness with body, mind, intellect, sense. You are invisible to all. And you are the Ishwaran, you are the Param Purul, you are the controller of the entire world. You are all pervasive. You are inside of all beings as the material cause of everything, material cause of all beings. You are outside of them as the entire world is a part of your cosmic dream. Maya Javinigachannam. So every entire world is within you. In your cosmic dream, the entire world is, the entire universe is. But still no one can see you as the truth, because it is covered by the Maya Javinigachannavajnadokshajam avyayam. It is covered by the curtain of Maya. It is covered by your illusory power, so called as the Apara Prakriti. We will see in the 7th chapter. You are not known to the people due to your own illusory power. You are the eternal, you are the indestructible element, you are the Paraprakriti, you are the existence, consciousness, bliss. You are covered by the veil of your Maya. Maya in the form of names, forms, Nama Rupam, or space, time, object, causations. And Kundi Mada also salutes Krishna. I respectfully salute Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devagi Nandanaya Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo. And I respectfully salute you, Lord, as the son of Vasudeva Devagi Nandagopar and Yashoda. And what is the prayer of Kundi? Kundi prays that let calamities come again and again and again. So when the calamities come in me again and again, oh Lord, I will see you again and again and again. Vipadaha sandhu nashashvatra tatra jagadguru bhavado darshanam yatsyad apunarbhava darshanam. May those calamities come again and again. Every time you protect me, there is no doubt in that. So if you are with me, let you give me more and more problems, give me more calamities, give me more issues, so that I will continuously connect with you. I will always be seeing you repeatedly. When Kundi says seeing, basically we need to understand that when I see or I get a chance to see you, I will be realizing you. And I am realizing you as my consciousness. So here, I will also be freed from the repeated births and deaths. Meaning what? Seeing you. I am realizing you. I am knowing you. I am becoming you. Vedanta says Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. So basically, I realize you every time through the physical Krishna who is our outside. I know that you are that self, and every time when I get a problem, I am realizing you. I am identifying you within me as the absolute truth. So that becomes an avenue for me to know you. So Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati, knower of Brahman. When I know you, I will become that. So that there is no need of me to take a birth and death birth cycle. So this is the knowledge that Kundi has. So Upadhi, the same consciousness is there in different upadhi. We all are different upadhis, we all are different manifestations. But the upahidam, the source, the truth is same. That's what Kundi realized. The ephemeral expression of the same divine is there within all of us. And our true identity is that divine. As per Bhagavad Gita, the one who realized this is a Panditan, the Samadarshi, Pandita Samadarshina. In the 2nd chapter we can see. And in the next verse we saw, Yadyad Acharati Shreshta Tattadeve Darojana Sayat Pramanam Kurite Logastadanu Vartade. So whatever action a great person performs, others will follow. Whatever standards that person sets, all the world will follow. World will pursue them. So here examples will matter. When you say role modeling, the lifestyle of the person. When I say lifestyle, it is not about the clothes and all those things. How that person lives in this world with the knowledge. Others will pursue that. So the examples matters. Example with that knowledge will talk more than the words. So here, a jnani's attention is surrendered to the Ishwaran, surrendered to the Dharma. That will radiate the guidance to the people. So a jnani will perform actions with equanimity, with self-awareness, and become a living teaching. It becomes a principle. So now let us see these new verses for today's session. Verse number 22 to 24 we will cover in one go. Chapter 3, Karma Yogam, verse number 22, 23, 24. Name parthasti kartavayam trishu logeshu kinchana nana vaptama vaptavyam varta eva cha karmani yedi hyaham na varteyam jadu karmanyatandrida mama vartmanu vartande Manushya partha sarvasha utsideyu rime loka nakuryam karma chedaham sankarasya cha kartasyam ubahanyami ma prajah. So name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana na anavaptam avaptavyam varta eva cha karmani yadi hi aham na varteyam jadu karmani atandrida mama vartma anuvartande manushya partha sarvasha utsideyu ime lokaha na kuryam karma chedaham sankarasya cha karta syam ubahanyam ima praja. So here Bhagavan Krishna points to himself with respect to the or with reference to the performance of actions. Right, so here 22nd verse basically says, O Partha, there is no duty to be performed by me in these three worlds. There is nothing unattained for me to attain, yet I am engaged in actions. And in the next verse, basically says that Yadi haham na varteyam jadu karmanyadindrida mama vartmanu vartande manushya partha sarvasha. So here, if I don't do those actions, hey Arjuna, it will create delusion in others, right? Delusion to attain, to achieve. Or we can say, in the first verse, Bhagavan says that there is no need for me to do things. I don't have anything to attain. Even if I don't do, for me there is no change. Meaning what? There is no delusion in me to attain. There is no delusion in me to achieve or to become. Nothing of that sort is there in me, Arjuna. And here, first verse basically says that this is the way that a Jivan Mukta, a Jnani, lives in this world. The feeling that I am the doer or I have to perform is like a trigger that will create suffering in life, and that is the source of all miseries in life. Let us take an example. As long as if one thinks to achieve something outside or get some perfection from outside, what are we trying to do? We are trying to impose a limitation in all of us, right? We are trying to impose a limitation that will become the root cause of the suffering. Because That perfection we are trying to seek from outside. Until and unless I get that perfection from outside, we ourselves are imposing a limitation in us. That will become a root cause of suffering. Meaning what? Until and unless I gain that, I will not be happy. I will gain happy or I will gain happiness until and unless I get that. This is the kind of an imposition that we are creating. We are creating a limitation in all of us, and that is the real cause of suffering in this world. And Bhagavan here says that you do not have any doership here. So don't carry the unnecessary burden of the ego, so called as the small I. Here, the small I, the ego, has hijacked the capital I, the real self. Let us interpret this verse number 22, in another way. Here, Bhagavan says, Name parthasti kartavyam trishu logeshu kinchana. The three world. In this context, let me use the three states that we all have in life. What are those three states? Jagrat, Swapnam, Sushupti. Jagrat is the awakened state. I hope all are now in the waking state. Hope we all are not sleeping. The Jagrat Avastha and the state of dreaming, Swapnam, Sushupti. I am beyond the three states. What is the implication here? I am beyond the Jagrat, Swapnam, Sushupti. I am the true self, so called as the Turiya Avastha. Jagrat, Swapnam, Sushupti, Turiyam. Turiyam is not a separate Avastha. Turiyam is the implied Avastha. Meaning what? The self has to be there in all states. For you to wake up after a deep sleep, though you had a dream before the deep sleep, when you wake up, you are able to understand or identify that I had a good sleep, though I had a bad dream or a good dream. Who is this witness? So I am beyond these three states. The self is beyond these three states. The self is that freedom, and that self is always there. And so you know that true self. When you know that true self, you will be free. You will be fulfilled. And in these states, Jagrat, Swapnam, Sushupti, what happens is our ego will come and go. But what remains same? What remains always aware? The self is there. The true self, I, is ever the same. So you awake to one's own nature, awake to that self. So when you operate in that self, when you are aware of that self, the state of actionless is achieved, because that self has nothing to do. All these actions are for what? These activities are mainly for the three states, or the body, mind, intellect, senses, etc. So when you know that self, the total renunciation of action happens. When you know that true self, that I, that Atma, what will understand that Atma is not performing any action. Aham karma na karomi. All actions are born from where? All actions are born from the standpoint of body, mind, intellect, senses, for others who see me, for the neighbors to think that I am good, I am big, I am rich, etc. All our actions are from the standpoint of body, mind, intellect, senses, and the references which are outside. But from the standpoint of self, there is no action, naishkarmyam. And verse number 23-24, let us conclude that yedi hyaham navarteyam jadu karmanyat tadindrida Mama vartmanu vartande manushya partha sarvasha. O Partha, if I do not engage myself in action relentlessly, continuously, people will follow me and I will set a wrong example. If I don't perform action, I myself is confusing people and destroying people. And before that we have seen Yadyad Acharati Shrestha, the people who practice will be looked as the role model, right? So if Krishna is performing no action, I myself, Bhagavan says, I myself will be confusing and destroying the people because people will look at me. Here we need to understand that there is a cosmic necessity of action. Everyone, each one of us should perform. If there is a manifestation, if we have a body, if you are born, one has to perform the prescribed duties to uphold the cosmic and social order. We cannot run away. So here, from the standpoint of universal consciousness, right? The universal consciousness maintains the cosmic order through actions. And this is the eternal law of karma. And Krishna in this physical form, right? Krishna in this physical form is also prescribed with some duties, right? And Krishna born as a king, born as a Deva. So here we need to understand that the Jiva, Brahma, both representations are happening in these verses. So here Bhagavan says that though I know myself and I have taken as a manifestation like this, I still need to act. If I don't act, people will follow me as a wrong example. So though I know I am supreme, though I know I am this universal consciousness, I should act, I am acting, and I am acting without attachment. And I myself is providing or showing me as a role model for everybody, including you, Arjuna. So you do the Karma Yogam. Karma Yogam is not just doing the work. It is the participation that we all have to do in this cosmic order with the right attitude and the right action. And not only that, by knowing who truly am I. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.